In the headlines, OPEC decides to keep its oil output steady, taking no action to ease a global supply glut. Oil prices continue falling. Black Friday is here in Korea. Local retailers pull out their own Black Friday sales to keep consumers from directly shopping with U.S. stores online. And an American film about an assassination plot against North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is hitting the screens in over 60 countries next month. Hello and welcome to ARIRANG News, everyone. Happy Friday. Coming to you live from Seoul, I am Kang Tae-ri. Brent crude oil has hit $70 per barrel, the lowest price since mid-2010. This plunge follows OPEC's decision to keep its oil output steady, despite calls from various circles to reduce the target. Our Connie Lee has our top story.
Oil prices have been on the downward spiral for a while now, but they sunk even further on Thursday after OPEC decided not to cut oil production. During a 6-hour-long meeting in Vienna, the 12 members of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries decided to maintain their oil output at current levels.
The conference decided to maintain the production level of 30 million barrels a day as was agreed in December 2011.
After the announcement, Brent crude oil tumbled below $73 a barrel, a low not seen since May 2010.
4 years or 4 years and a half, we have a very decent price. So now price decline. That does not mean that we should really, rush and do something.
The decision, led by Saudi Arabia, was reached despite a global oversupply and calls from less well-off members who favored a production cut to stem the sliding crude prices. Prices have been dropping like a stone this year, losing around 30% of their value since June in the face of rising shale oil production in the U.S. Energy experts believe OPEC's strategy is to maintain its dominance in the market in the long run. A further drop in crude oil prices will make U.S. shale oil less economical. Although Thursday's outcome didn't come as a surprise, it will hurt non-OPEC exporters like Russia, which already faces Western sanctions over its role in Ukraine. Connie Lee, ARIRANG News.
Once exclusively an American holiday shopping tradition, Black Friday has taken hold in many other countries, including Korea. And as for local retailers, that means that they have to come up with better offers to stop consumers from jumping online and spending their money overseas. Kim Min-ji tells us more.
Winter sales in Korea are up and running, but they came a couple of days early this year. Why? Because the American shopping day known as Black Friday, which falls on November 28th this year, has also ignited a shopping extravaganza in Korea. Afraid of losing out on potential customers during the spree, local retailers are now offering their own Black Friday deals in hopes that customers will shop till they drop.
Black Friday now represents a big shopping opportunity, not only in the U.S. and Europe, but in Korea as well. We hope our sales promotions, in particular, will help us tap into the large group of shoppers that prefer to make direct purchases online.
This department store has taken it a step further, opening a specialty shop that sells popular overseas brands not usually available in Korea.
Products sold here can also be found on overseas online shopping malls. Although the prices run about 30% higher, when you consider import duties or delivery charges, the difference basically cancels out. Plus, there's the added benefit of being able to try out products before you buy them.
It also offers after-sales services and eliminates the risks of shipments getting lost in the mail. But what spurred the shopping craze in the first place? A surge in Koreans opting to make direct purchases through overseas sites.
On Black Friday, the discounts are huge and there are a wide variety of products. I usually make direct purchases about once a week, but this time I'm waiting.
Data shows that direct purchases made from Korea last year topped $1 billion, and the total is expected to nearly double this year. As more people turn to the internet to buy a wide variety of foreign goods, events like Black Friday are becoming more global. But for retailers, it means more work as they compete to keep customers and gain new ones in an arena that has no borders and continues to expand. Kim Min-ji, ARIRANG News.
The Korean economy is set to be on a sluggish recovery track, especially with the April ferry disaster discouraging consumer spending, and we've been getting mixed output figures ever since, and today was no exception. Our Hwang Ji has a breakdown.
Statistics Korea says the country's output across all industries edged up 0.3% in October compared to the previous month. This marks a rebound from 2 straight months of decline in August and September. The agency says the rise was driven by the service sector, which saw output rise 0.8% last month from a month earlier. But the output inching up does not necessarily mean the country's recovery momentum is back on track. The finance ministry says the economy still remains subdued, citing production in the mining and manufacturing sectors during this period, which fell more than 1.5%. Experts add that the economy has fluctuated a lot recently, and pinpointing a trend is impossible based on 1 month of data.
The recovery momentum is not strong enough, so businesses are not sure about what's coming next. That makes them react sensitively to upcoming economic news, which results in big changes in production and consumption.
Korea's business sentiment also reflects the weak recovery momentum. The Bank of Korea says that the business sentiment among Korean manufacturers reached 75 in November, up from 72 a month ago. Despite the rise, the reading is well below the benchmark 100, which means pessimists outnumber optimists. Experts say the Korean economy is likely to continue to show such mixed signals for a while, with the domestic demand remaining sluggish due to the mounting household debt and the worsening global economic conditions. Hwang Ji, ARIRANG News.
For the first time ever, the amount of credit card payments by foreign visitors has surpassed the amount spent by Koreans overseas. The Bank of Korea says foreigners put $3.3 billion on their credit cards in Korea in the third quarter of this year, outpacing the $3.2 billion that Koreans spent overseas. Both amounts are record highs, but the amount spent by foreigners in Korea grew at a faster rate, thanks in part to a soaring number of Chinese tourists. They accounted for half of all visitors to Korea in the third quarter, up 24% on year. Major political parties in Korea have agreed to pass the 2015 budget bill by next Tuesday's deadline. If they do that, it will be a first in 12 years here in Korea. The ruling Central Party and the main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy have also agreed to give a green light to the Korea-Australia Free Trade Agreement bill, as well as a cigarette price hike bill by the same deadline as well. The ruling party also bended to opposition's demands to reduce corporate tax exemptions and reductions, but decided not to raise corporate taxes. While details on various bills still need to be hashed out, the rival parties said they will continue to narrow their differences until Sunday. The final trailer for movie The Interview is out. This is a Hollywood-produced action comedy that's been getting a lot of attention and angry reaction from North Korea. Our Connie Lee tells us more.
The final trailer for the first Hollywood film to depict North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is out. The interview, which centers on a TV talk show host and his producer, who were drafted by the CIA to assassinate the young dictator while in the north to film a show. But the final trailer released this week shows the protagonists, played by actors James Franco and Seth Rogen, having fun with the man they're supposed to kill.
It was a gift to my grandfather from Stalin.
In my country, it's pronounced Stallone.
From hanging out in a tank to bonding over pop songs.
I'd never heard this before in my life.
I love Katy Perry.
Really?
As you shoot across the sky.
Through their interactions with Kim's character, Rogen and Franco's characters start having doubts about their mission to kill the young dictator. The movie clearly pokes fun at North Korea's mysterious leader, but the regime isn't in on the joke. They've called it a wanton act of terror and threatened the United States of a merciless response once it's released. And perhaps bowing to the pressure, it's been reported that a scene in which Kim is assassinated in the comedy ended up on the editing room floor. Connie Kim, ARIRANG News.
Railways run through the heart of President Park Geun-hye's Eurasia Initiative, an ambitious project that looks to connect South Korea to North Korea and Russia, and by extension, Europe. But is that plan feasible? Our Kim Myung-gil tells us more.
The lawmakers and experts who gathered at the National Assembly on Friday were largely in favor of the plan to link inter-Korean railroads, saying it will expand the movement of goods from Asia to Europe and create a new economic community that includes Pyongyang.
It is a vast network to link Europe and Asia. The Trans-Railway Network will help develop North Korea, the northeastern regions of China, and Russia's Siberia. Profits made through railway investments will later help pay for Korea's unification costs.
The plan is to link the already existing Trans-Siberia and Trans-China railways with the Trans-Korea Railway. The vision for the Trans-Korea Railway is to connect South Korea's Cheolwon County and Sokcho City with North Korea's port city of Najin and on into Russia. It also seeks to link Seoul with the North Korean city of Siniju, which borders China. It's estimated that the Trans-Korea Railway would produce economic benefits worth some $7.5 billion, with freight volume expanding sevenfold while boosting North Korea's battered economy. But experts say some $3.7 billion will be needed to reconstruct the railways in North Korea, which will likely be funded by South Korea and Russia. They also questioned the feasibility of the project.
To procure finances, we would need help from international financial institutions. But since North Korea is not a member of the IMF, World Bank, or IBRD, it will be hard to build a consortium.
And unless Pyongyang decides to get on board the plan, it will likely remain a pipe dream. Kim Myung-gil, ARIRANG News.
Back here in Korea, President Park Geun-hye held talks with the Prime Minister of Hungary in Seoul today. Topping their agenda were concerns about North Korea. Choi Yoo-sun has this report.
The leaders of South Korea and Hungary expressed grave concerns over North Korea's nuclear and missile development and agreed that the regime needed to disarm for the sake of peace and stability in the region. In a joint statement following talks in Seoul Friday, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban also endorsed President Park Geun-hye's peace-building initiatives on the peninsula and in Northeast Asia. President Park sought to partner up with Budapest on a unification drive, noting that Hungary contributed to ending the Cold War by opening its border to the world, and that it was the first East Bloc nation and first of North Korea's traditional allies to establish diplomatic ties with the South. As the two leaders celebrated their 25th year of diplomatic relations, the Hungarian Prime Minister said his country and its people were impressed by Korea's rapid economic development and think of Korea as their closest and most important partner in Asia. Looking to further develop ties, Seoul officially signed deals with Budapest that include code-sharing between their airliners and offering scholarships to students of the other country. While Korea invested $37 million in Hungary's auto parts, electronics, machinery, and banking industries last year, Prime Minister Orban, highlighting Hungarians' creativity, sought more investments from Korean SMEs. President Bak, for her part, asked Budapest to support Korean pharmaceutical companies as they look for business opportunities in Hungary. Choi Yu-sun, ARIRANG News.
Which city is the best for students to live in? That's the question British-based QS World University Rankings asked, and at the top was Paris, followed by Melbourne and then London. The ranking is formed based on a number of factors such as quality of life, affordability, and student mix. Seoul, in the meantime, ranked pretty high as well, coming in as the 10th most student-friendly city. QS called Seoul one of its most exciting study destinations. It pointed out that the Korean capital is a 24/7 city where life is rarely dull, and highlighted Seoul's many cultural and natural attractions. Now, this is a future that I personally hope it will not come true, but more and more reports are coming out that we might see foods made with insects on our dinner tables in the near future. Our Kwon So-ah reports that the Korean government is now promoting this edible insect market. Take a look.
Protein blocks made of cockroaches. This horrifying scene from the hit Korean movie Snowpiercer is the stuff of Hollywood, but may not be far from reality in the near future. From silkworms and locusts to darkling beetles and white-spotted flower chafers, Korea's food ministry now recognizes 4 insects as being edible. The government is serious about the market. It says bugs could become our main source of food in the future due to predicted food shortages brought on by a growing population. It expects the economic value of insects used for food and medicine to reach over $63 million next year. Insects aren't only abundant in number, but nutritious and especially high in protein. They are also more efficient. While 100 kilograms of food for a cow will produce 6.5 kilograms of meat for the dinner plate, the same amount fed to insects produces 54 kilograms of food for consumption.
The real question is, would people really want to eat these insects on a daily basis? Bug burgers like this one might be the answer to making the thought a little more appetizing.
This is made of insects? I didn't know that. It tastes good.
At this exhibition, where insect dishes are on display and available for tasting, experts say it's important to change people's perception of insects from yucky to yummy. But it's not the only challenge.
Insects contain toxins, and it hasn't been closely examined yet if they are harmful to humans. Korea's Ministry of Food and Drug Safety is very strict with inspections.
A sterilizing process to make them safe, meaning more production facilities are needed. But industry watchers say it's worth the investment, and by promoting consumer-friendly menus, it might not be too long before insects become a staple on the dinner table. Kwon So-ah, ARIRANG News.
Massive protests and violent unrest in the U.S. sparked by the Michael Brown case have been put to at least a temporary pause for now with the Thanksgiving holiday. And Paul Lee is joining us from the News Center to tell us more. So, Paul, this case has attracted global attention with demonstrations cropping up over the world. But let's take a look at where it all started in Ferguson.
Well, police say only 2 people were arrested Wednesday night there, but the situation in the St. Louis suburb has relatively calmed in the wake of those mass riots earlier this week. Many are still outraged over the grand jury's no indictment verdict in the killing of an unarmed black teenager, but community leaders say they instead have called for a day of healing. Residents gathered for turkey giveaways and church services where a pastor consoled the heartbroken Midwestern community and prayed for the families of the victim, as well as Officer Darren Wilson, who took that fatal shot in August.
What I want people to know about Ferguson is that, number one, You cannot put police officers in our neighborhood to police us, who hate us. That has to change. And once that changes, this community will start changing. You already got good people here.
Meanwhile, at least 7 protesters were arrested by police on Thursday in New York City. Authorities say the group was trying to disrupt the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade to protest the grand jury's decision not to press criminal charges for the killing of 18-year-old Michael Brown.
And turning to Southeast Asia, this time Thailand's top legislative body has kick-started impeachment proceedings into the former Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra. Now, this country has gone through tremendous political turmoil, not to mention that military coup this year alone. What's the reason behind these proceedings?
Well, Thailand's military junta is apparently trying to root out any trace of corruption in the government as it keeps a strong grip on public officials and the media, all the while neutralizing any allies in power that the ousted prime minister still has. Yingluck was removed from office back in May after a court found her guilty of abuse of power and mishandling a national rice scheme. On Friday, the National Legislative Assembly announced it would start Yingluck's impeachment hearing on January 9th, which could ban her from politics for up to 5 years.
I therefore announce that the Assembly agrees to open the hearing of the National Anti-Corruption Commission to address the plaintiff and the accused, Yingluck Shinawatra.
Yingluck also faces separate criminal charges brought against her by the anti-corruption body over the rice scheme. If found guilty, she faces up to 10 years in prison. However, public prosecutors say there's not enough evidence for a conviction and have called for authorities to further investigate the case.
And in Japan, where a volcano has erupted, triggering widespread traffic disruptions in the southern part of the country, what's the damage report there?
Well, the Japan Meteorological Agency said Mount Aso first exploded on Tuesday, blasting chunks of magma and rock as high as 200 meters into the air. They say it marks the first time in 22 years that the mountain had erupted. Dozens of flights at Kumamoto Airport have so far been canceled, as authorities issued a warning to nearby city residents to stay away from the crater. As of late Friday, Mount Aso was still spewing smoke and hot ash over Kyushu Island. Though the activity did not pose immediate danger, the regional office urged people living around the volcano to remain on alert. Mount Aso is one of the world's largest volcanoes and is located 1,000 kilometers southwest of Tokyo.
And I hear there's a new trend taking France by storm, where clients hire top chefs to cook right in their homes. So there's been this huge growth in the so-called sharing economy. We've seen the rise of Uber, Airbnb, just to name some of the success stories there. Is this the next big thing?
Well, it's too soon to tell, but just like those other companies you mentioned, this startup called La Belle Assiette is seeking to shake up a traditional industry and is trying to do it one kitchen at a time. Since launching last year in France, the online service has become the #1 marketplace in Europe for private chefs and caterers. With just a click of a mouse, users can hire a professional chef to cook up a gourmet meal, as well as take care of any guests, all from the comforts of home.
So there's basically 2 real development angles. The first is internationalization, going to new markets and bringing our service to new markets. The second is we're in a very new service. It isn't in everyone's habits to have chefs come and cook for them, right? So we have to, in each of our existing markets, to create the demand for what we're doing.
The company, which takes a commission per transaction, says over 400 chefs across 5 countries have jumped on board, with hopes to soon break into North America. And the best part, Charity, the chef for hire does the dishes, leaving your house with a spotless kitchen.
Of course, that is the best part for at least people like me. Thank you so much for great stories there, and we'll see you back here in just about 2 hours.
TGIF, I'm Kim Bo-kyung with your weather forecast. It was a rainy Friday nationwide, and it is still raining in some areas, mostly in the central regions. Another 5 millimeters of precipitation should fall here in Seoul through this evening, so make sure to have an umbrella handy if you are headed out. Also, it looks like up to 3 centimeters of snow may fall on the mountains of Gangwon-do province. The shower should gradually clear up overnight, giving way to a bright autumn Saturday, but keep in mind that more wet weather is in store this Sunday. And it looks like rainy conditions will cool down temperatures next week, so you might want to take out your winter clothes to get ready for the cold. On to Saturday's readings. Seoul reaches 14, Daegu and Gwangju 15. On to other regions. Jeju makes it to 16, Dokdo hits 15, Mount Kumgang reaches 4. Have a wonderful Friday evening. I'll be back with more after 10.
Thank you so much, Bo Young, and that will do it for this edition of ARIRANG News. Thanks for watching.